Have you heard about Yarn Lane, a TV show dedicated to knitting, crochet and all things yarn, bringing you demonstrations from our expert guests as well as the latest tools. And find out what's coming up on the show by following us on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe to our email newsletter or visit the programme guide on our website at www.yarnlane.com. Missed the live show? Don't worry, we recorded it for you. Never miss out on your favourite presenters, guests and makes ever again. Head on over to our YouTube pages to watch back the day's live show and enjoy your favourite demos over and over again. We also have lots of great content exclusive to our YouTube pages, such as product demonstrations, troubleshooting videos, and so much more. Subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you never miss a show or video ever again.
Are you a fan of Sewing Street and Yarn Lane? Why not join our growing Facebook fans pages? Just search Sewing Street Fans and Yarn Lane TV Fans on Facebook and click Join Group. It's that simple. Never miss out on the latest news and updates from our presenters and guest designers, special offers and plenty of chat with your fellow fans. Share photos of your makes, ask for advice, interact with your favourite guests and presenters, and be a part of the ever-growing sewing and yarn community. See you there!
In need of a crafting fix? There are so many ways you can watch Sewing Street and Yarn Lane. Sewing Street is live from 8 AM to 1 PM every day on Freeview 72 and Sky 670. Alternatively, if you want to watch us on a tablet or on the move, you can tune in on our YouTube channel, the Sewing Street app, or the websites at www.sewingstreet.com and www.yarnlane.com. You can watch past shows on Sky 670 from 1 PM every day, as well as our YouTube channel, the app, and our website. Yarn Lane is on from 12 PM to 1 PM. Visit our programme guide to find out when and what's on, so you never have to spend a minute without us.
Have you heard about all of the different ways you can shop with Sewing Street and Yarn Lane? You can either shop on our websites, sewingstreet.com and yarnlane.com. You can also order by phone by calling our friendly UK customer service team. For Sewing Street, call 0800 001 4433, and for Yarn Lane, call 0800 4700 600. And don't forget about the Sewing Street app. Here you can shop all of the Sewing Street products as well as watch the live shows from anywhere. You can download the app onto your smartphone or your tablet by simply searching Sewing Street in your app store. And one final thing, no matter how many times you check out on Sewing Street or Yarn Lane in one day, you will only pay one postage and packaging. Happy shopping!
We know that shopping online can be a confusing and sometimes daunting task, and sometimes all you want to do is talk to a human being. Well, our family-run customer service team are on call 24/7. They're full of friendly, warm-hearted individuals, all trained to make your shopping experience as easy and as enjoyable as possible. And not only will they take your order, they will also help and guide you on your shopping journey, so you never miss out. Keep up to date with what's on Sewing Street and Yarn Lane, as well as all the latest news and special offers by signing up to our email newsletters. For Sewing Street, head on over to www.sewingstreet.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and you're done. It's exactly the same for Yarn Lane. Head on over to www.yarnlane.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and that's it. You are now subscribed to both Sewing Street's and Yarn Lane's email newsletters, so you'll never miss out on the latest news and special offers ever again.
morning and welcome to Yarn Lane. If you've been with me since 8 o'clock on Sewing Street, thank you for coming to Yarn Lane. If you're brand new on Yarn Lane, lovely to see you at this last end of December. But the good news is we have got 4 brand new kits for you today and 1 brand new designer, guest designer. We have got Stuart Hillard. Morning, Stuart.
Good morning.
Good morning. It is his debut.
It's afternoon. It's afternoon.
It is
Good
now,
afternoon.
Officially afternoon.
Yes.
Debut.
It is as a guest. I'm excited
It is.
because we've got beautiful accessories and we've got men's and women's,
And that's really
beginner
nice,
friendly.
And
They're
woolies,
gorgeous.
because men like being knitted for just as much as women.
Yeah, I think the thing is, what I've always found is that the things that we enjoy knitting and the things that men enjoy wearing are often very different, aren't they? Let's be honest, because
Yes.
what most men like wearing is quite plain, quite simple,
Yes.
which isn't necessarily what we enjoy knitting, acres
true.
of stocking stitch.
Yes.
But what the designers at Stylecraft have managed to capture here is beautiful, rich, earthy, nature-inspired colours, which I as a man love, Charlie, my husband, loves, and interesting to knit patterns, but also ones which are masculine.
And then they will actually wear.
Yeah, they really, I was really interested actually. When the yarn and the patterns came, the very first thing Charlie said when he saw them was, "Can you knit me that set?"
Oh, okay.
Now, he's never said that about anything I've knitted before. He loves what I knit for myself, but he's never said,
He's never
"Could you knit
wanted
me
to.
that?"
Right. Oh,
And
well,
so-
perfect.
Here I am knitting his set. So thrilled. I'm going to make myself this set as soon as I finish Charlie's. Just love
It's
it.
gorgeous. So the first, if we look at the first kit, which is this beautiful, this one has been selling really well on pre-order. I'm
It's
going to open it and we'll
fabulous.
have a little look.
I'll put it on.
Yeah, could you put it on?
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry, I'm apologising to Kat. Apologise, and I forget about that mic. So I just need a pair of scissors. Oh, that looks lovely
Well,
on you.
I know the model on the front cover
Yeah,
is
I mean,
gorgeous and all
Oh,
that.
well,
But,
but you look actually very similar.
well, you know what? I'll take him on. I'll take him on. Look, there we go. There you go. So this is the set that I'm going to knit for myself next.
Gorgeous, isn't it? Do you think his phone number comes on the back of the pattern? Yeah. Yeah, you need to sort of look.
Sorry,
No
let me try that
smiling.
again. Ready?
Yeah. Yeah, could you do the same? Oh, yeah, there you go, exactly the same. You'd hardly
I'm
tell the
pretending I'm
difference.
looking for a distant ship.
Or sheep.
Yes, or maybe sheep.
I think
Well,
it
the
might
thing
be a
is, you see, Charlie wants the sets for working on the farm and being out in the country. That's the bottom line about this range. It's all nature inspired, kind of time in the country.
Well, it's this gorgeous Highland Heathers.
Yeah.
And I love Highland Heathers because it's got like a mould, sort of slightly tweedy mould look to it, doesn't it?
Yes, it absolutely has. And I think that's what makes it more fun to knit with, because it's beautiful to knit with and it isn't completely plain. But from the point of view of the wearer, it isn't sort of super colourful, loads of Fair Isle or kind of fussy or anything like that. It's just nice and masculine and really flattering. The colours are beautiful, aren't they?
But you get 4 balls in here. So in this kit for £19.99, now this is Aran weight yarn, just so you know, Highland Heathers, you get the pattern for making the hat and the scarf. And you actually get 2 patterns in here. So you get the pattern to either knit the rib hat and scarf or the cable hat and scarf. And we're going to be doing the kit, I'll just show you in a minute, for this colourway. But the pattern includes both. So you're getting 2 hats and 2 scarves. But in this kit, this is to knit this whole set for £19.99. Aran weight yarn, and they've got lovely colours as names. This one is Lock. So it's mainly blue, but it's got a little fleck of purple in it. Yes, I think we should get Elliot to come and model them as well. This one is called Gorse. I love this. We
Yeah.
used this in the, we did a hedgehog, and he had a jumper and
Cute.
and he wore that. It looked lovely. And
That's
then you get
a classic colour for sort of, the kind of weekend in the country,
It
sort of
is.
salmon fishing, the tweed jacket, isn't it? It's
it
exactly
is
the
absolutely.
colours.
And then you get 2 balls of the bracken, which is this really lovely sort of tealy petrol green. But if you look up close, you can see the colours in it, can't you? It's got all these different colours in it.
Beautiful to knit with as well, Rebecca.
Beautiful.
And
It's very soft. I mean, it's 100%
really
acrylic,
soft.
so washes beautifully. But it is really, really soft. Message from Collector in Merseyside. Stuart, you are a gorgeous model. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
thank you
I know.
very much. I don't think anyone was going to tell me otherwise. Were they?
I
Were
think
they?
he just wasn't doing the right pose to start with. He was smiling
Smiley.
rather than looking ruggedly interesting.
I know, that's
Should
right.
known of this.
I should have been looking for a distant stag.
Yes. And in the other picture, he's got a slight smirk.
Yeah.
You can try that one
but
in a
it's-
minute. A slight smirk. Now, there are less than 20 of these kits. So you get the pattern to make, there's 2 hats and 2 scarves in the pattern, and 400 grams of Aran weight yarn. Okay? I've got that kit sitting in front of it. So
They're
that's
brilliant,
that kit.
aren't they? I mean, and it's a really as well. Let me just show you the size of the scarf.
Oh, yes, can we do,
because it is a really, it's
nice and long,
wide
isn't it? It's
and
beautiful.
long. Isn't that beautiful?
See, how much would this cost in a shop? It would be
I know,
loads, wouldn't
I
it?
know, absolutely. Well, do you know what? I was looking at knitwear in, can I say the name of the shop?
Go on
Fat
then.
Face,
Yeah.
before Christmas, just before Christmas. And it was like, £40 for a scarf, £40 for a hat,
Oh, really?
£30 for a pair of gloves, and they were lovely. But I was thinking, but I would really enjoy knitting that.
Yes.
And I would really enjoy wearing
Well,
it.
that's it. And I think you
also
can.
I'd get it for
Yeah, you can make it for a
fraction.
man and he would actually wear it.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd
Mm.
absolutely wear this. Like I say, Charlie wants it. I'm making it for me as well. And they're colours that are going to sort of team with lots of different clothes too.
Yeah, yes. I mean, with any kind of jacket you're wearing, particularly if you've got an olive green Barber jacket like in the photo.
Yeah, or navy blue,
Yes, yeah,
or
that's true.
tan or brown. So, I mean, it's absolutely perfect. And you've got all the yarn there to make those things. And this is I would call this a good bit of mindful knitting, because this is one of those patterns that you're very quickly going to learn. I don't know about you, but for the first half hour, I'm glued to my pattern.
And then you think, and I'll never
And I'm
learn
away.
this.
Yes, and then I'm away. So it's very easy, and so that's nice. Just sort of
Then it's
repeating
box
the
set.
pattern, a long rectangle. So if you've never knitted before, or only done the most basic of knitting, perfect project.
So what needles do we need for this
So
one?
you're going to use 5mm needles for
Okay.
the vast majority. You're going to use 4mm for your rib.
Oh, okay. And you will need a cable needle as well for the rib. So you'll need 5mm needles for the main thing, and 4mm for the rib. And
Yeah, you don't need a cable needle for this particular
Oh
set.
no, for the other.
Yeah.
The next one that I'm about to show you. So you need 5mm and 4mm. Both are $3.99, and they are. Have a look on the webs if you go down
I
on
love
the
the
buy
zing
now.
needles.
I love them because they're bright colours.
Yeah, and they're nice and light. They warm in your hands as well.
Well, I think the good thing is because they're aluminium. Anyone who struggles with their hands at
Yeah.
all, then they are perfect for that. There are less than 15 of these kits
Yeah.
available.
And you know the other thing about this? Teenage
Yes.
boys, or girls, actually. Let's not, boys or girls could wear these, let's be honest.
Yes.
Young people, middle-aged people, older
is,
people.
yeah.
There's nothing that ties this to a particular age bracket
No, I don't
at
think there
all.
is at all, because the colours are just classic, aren't they, and
Yeah.
earthy.
Yeah.
So the other kit we have, which is using the same pattern, this makes the one behind me. Elliot, could you come and model this
I was going
one?
to say I'll model it.
Oh, Elliot,
I think Collector in Merseyside and I have established that I'm the model.
we'd like.
Come
Yeah,
on
well, let's do
then.
it. I think we need to get
I
Elliot
know
on
I
later,
want
though,
Elliot
don't
out
we?
here now.
Because they always want to see him.
Yeah,
We'll have him out later.
absolutely.
You can put this one on. Now, this one's got a bobble on.
Yes. Yes.
bobble on.
Do you know, I knitted, because I'd just done myself a hat. I've knitted this in Stylecraft Special, Aaron, so this is just so we'll do a Who Wore It Better. I knitted myself the hat, and then I was going to go to bed, and I hadn't made the bobble, and then, of course, I had to make the bobble. So, Who Wore It Better? One thing I would say is, I know this is a scarf and a hat, but before you start, as with every knitting pattern, it's essential that you knit your tension swatch.
Right.
Okay. Even though you're knitting a rectangle, you might think, well, of course it will fit, it's a rectangle. But it's, in this case, it's about having enough yarn to knit the scarf, because with the lock and the cairn, you're going to knit both ends of the scarf, and you're going to knit a certain number of pattern repeats.
Okay.
So
it's very important
that
to get
you've
your
got
tension
half
right.
the yarn for the other end.
Okay.
Is Elliot coming? Come on, Elliot. We want you to model.
Look at that lovely.
Isn't he coming?
I've got a
okay.
bigger picture of the man now.
Well, now I'm going to compete with him.
Look at that. So I want
So-
that slight
There's
smirk,
the hat.
as if I'm
You can
too
do that.
cool
I
to
can-
laugh,
I
but
can
you were
smirk.
quite funny.
Oh, I can smirk.
Yeah, that's good. Right. That's exactly the same.
Grab that.
Yeah.
But yeah, isn't it? This is the one I'm knitting for Charlie. That's my normal face now. Don't
that's
laugh
the
at
normal
that
face.
point.
So in this one, you get
But
2 of grist, 1 of cairn, and 1 of lock. So these are, let me just move my things out of the way. This is the man. And you get 4 balls. And obviously, so this is the cable pattern, but it's the same pattern as this one. So you will get the same pattern. So you'll get the pattern for both. But the yarn, so actually, you can knit either. You know, you can choose, because you get 2 balls of one colour. It's up to you. So if you buy this kit, you can knit that with it. And the other kit, if you get the other kit with these colours in, yeah, you can knit the cable with it. So that's up to you.
Totally right.
Yeah.
Totally
So
right.
don't worry that you think, oh, well, I'd like the greeny or yellowy one in the cable. They're
Yours is the same amount.
interchangeable. And you get a bobble as well. Now, bobbles, I've noticed we have some, does it say what size?
Yeah, it's about a 2 1/4.
Because we have got the
inch,
pom-poms.
Yeah. Just use the larger of the 2 there.
If you use the 45mm pom-pom maker, because you do need a pom-pom, well, you actually don't have to put a pom-pom, mate. You don't have to put a pom-pom on your hat. But if you want to put a pom-pom on your hat, then £5.99. Forget 2 circles of cardboard. This is the new way to go. If you've never used one of these, you will carry on forever and ever making glorious pom-poms. So that's the men's. I'm going to go on to the women's, and then Stuart's going to come in. The men's are really, really popular, so be careful. So now the women is the same thing. We're choosing a colourway and not a pattern, because there's one pattern. I'm going to open it so it's. Oh, it doesn't seem to have a closed over bit.
The price is brilliant, isn't it, Bex?
Amazing.
It's
isn't
so
it?
cool, because there's such beautiful things. I mean, those colours together.
I love this
I
Highland
just want to
Heathers.
dive in.
So this, in this pattern, so again, you get one pattern, paper pattern, but there are patterns to do. This hat, the stripy wrap, the beret, and then the plain wrap. So you get patterns for all 4, but in this kit, you have got everything you need to make this hat and this bobble. Now I've got these over here. So it's my turn. I've got to look like her now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm look rubbish in hats though.
Wistful.
Wistful.
I think that's the look that always seems to be going for on knitting patterns. It's wistful.
Yeah, I need to have more hair, sort of.
That looks
Right.
really lovely on you. And the scarf, the shawl is triangular on this one, which I just think is absolutely beautiful.
Well, it's nice, isn't it? I like this
Really
triangular.
lovely.
Yeah, I'm on a
Really lovely.
windswept beach in December. So I'm going to Pembrokeshire at New Year. So this is me on a babe. You haven't seen me yet, Elliot. Okay.
What?
Right, ready?
a
Or am I facing
babe.
the wrong way? Do I need to face that way?
It's like that thing they do in magazines, isn't it? Who wore it better?
Yeah. Do I look the same?
I can barely tell the difference between the two.
Barely.
Barely.
Barely tell the difference.
There's a smidge. You've got it. I think it's because you're live next to me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you've got
I've
sharp
got it.
things near
Look
you.
at this. I'm going to give you a little 360.
But isn't it beautiful?
Ready? Let it look. Look. Gorgeous, isn't it?
And the thing is as well, but I would wear that shawl too, and I know a lot of male knitters
Yeah.
who are wearing triangular shawl scarves, you know, and kind of wearing them slightly differently.
Yeah. But it's
But aren't the
lovely,
colours
isn't it? The
gorgeous?
colours are lovely, aren't they?
they
And
really
it's
are.
also when you just want a little bit of warmth, but not
Yeah.
loads.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you might just make the shawl.
Yeah, and think, I don't want the hat.
You might knit a different hat. You might knit a beret
Well,
in
yes.
that gorgeous colour to go with your shawl. And of course, you can do that because your beret or your hat or any of the other hats, they use one ball. Of
So
yarn.
you can just change. So
Yeah.
in the kit for this one, you get... Got to put my glasses on
This
now.
is
I won't look like them
DK
anymore.
though.
So this one is DK, different. The men's one is Aran, the women's is DK, but it's still Highland Heathers. It's still this beautiful tweedy Marley type yarn and 100% acrylic. It's just that this is DK. So you get 2 balls of hawthorn, which is what the hat is in. And then for the stripes on the scarf, you get a ball of marmalade. Oh, that's...
Yeah.
Oh, I love marmalade. Ball of gorse and a ball of cairn. And those are the stripes. So if you wanted to knit the beret instead, or not the hat at all, you could do that because the pattern is the same. Right, so that's that kit. 22.99. There are a lot of you with those in baskets, so please be careful.
And also as well, Bex, I'm going to show you how to do, you need to do 3 different kinds of decrease. Don't be
Right.
alarmed at that, they're easy. 3 different decreases and a moss stitch to make the triangular shawl. And that is the hardest.
And that's it, really.
That's the hardest pattern. They're all super easy. They're all super easy.
They're gorgeous, aren't they?
They're really lovely. They're
Right.
so wearable and they're so snuggly and
Oh, I know,
soft.
I love this. This is really one, but it's not itchy.
No.
I'm a bit of an itchy person.
Well, the thing is,
know.
that's the thing with wool, isn't it?
I really
there
am
are
a really
certain
itchy-
kinds of 100% wool that I can wear. Most I don't like wearing. I do always like wearing premium acrylic. That's always lovely.
Yeah, I am an itchy person, but this is not itchy at all.
No. And of course they're washable.
Yes, which is handy.
Yeah.
Very handy.
A quick tip in terms of when you finish knitting, if you're a blocker, yeah, with Stylecraft Highland Heathers, what they recommend that you do, for example, with the triangular shawl,
Oh, yes, with this is
is
mine
to
too.
pin it out in the triangle on your blocking mat. Then to get some clean, damp tea towels. So just like dunk them in water, wring them out until they're barely damp, and then lay them over the surface of the shawl or the hat or whatever.
Or
I mean, even
yeah.
though the hat is made up completely, lay it down, damp tea towel over the top, and then leave it overnight. And what that does is it just helps to relax all of the fibres, just settle them all
Okay.
in. And effectively, but what you don't want to do ever is apply heat in the form of steam or even on at the lowest setting, because you can do what's called kill acrylic.
Well, acrylic is plastic.
Yes. And it will melt and it will suddenly lose all its volume and just go thin and flat and shiny, and there's no way to get it back.
Right, if you've got this in your basket, you need to be really careful. The first kit we sold out, the one that Stuart wants for himself, has now sold out. I think I might take my hat off.
Can I ask
That one.
everyone, was it my modelling?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, until you put it on, they weren't interested. So please be careful if you've got anything in your basket. One more kit and then we're going to go on to the demo. So in this kit, same pattern, exactly the same pattern, but this time it's for the beret and the wrap. I will try that. We haven't got the wrap with us. Oh, let me turn it over, then you can see a better
That's
picture
rectangular.
of it. But it's just a rectangular wrap. We haven't been able to borrow that one. I'm not sure that I'm a beret person.
We've got to put it on right. That's the thing with the beret.
Is that right?
No, you're putting it on like a hat, like a beanie hat.
Should it come over my ears?
So the band, the rib band should go around your head like a crown, yeah?
Yeah, got that.
And then you want to flatten the top and pull down to one side. You're definitely getting there. No, you're definitely getting there. Do you want a hand?
Yeah, if you could just arrange it for me.
Hats I do, you see.
Yeah.
There we go.
Stuart, Hillard, hat expert.
Well, my husband owns a millinery company.
Oh.
So I
know these
I help
things.
people put hats on all the time.
Right. Ready?
There you go.
So.
There we are.
Look
That
at that.
kind of effect. Something like that.
I think I'm confusing you, but the scarf does not come in this
Can I
one.
take the wrap?
That's the wrap.
Try that
But you get the wrap in this one, but we haven't been able to borrow that. But it's exactly the same. It's gorgeous, isn't it? Gorgeous wine colour. So in this kit, you get one ball of. I'm going to take the berry off. Ooh. Right, one ball of wild salmon. That's used for the beret, and then you get 3 balls of tayberry, and that is used for the wrap. So could you make? Yeah, you could make the striped shawl and the beret with the other kit, or you can make the striped shawl and the hat. With the other kit, you do need the extra because it's got one extra ball. But when you make them, you can choose between, because the hat and the beret both use one ball, so you can choose which you do. And the good thing is once you've got the pattern, and you've got it, you know everything as well. Message from Lorraine. Bex, you are hilarious. Lovely watching you and Stuart. Love, Lolly. It's lovely having my new guest on.
Oh, thank you. Now, I would totally wear this.
Would you?
Yeah. So I see loads of male knitters knitting themselves triangular shawls or scarves and wearing them differently rather than having the triangle across your back. For sure. Instead of wearing the triangle at the back, wear it at the front and then wrap the ends around. And I think that's a really nice sort of
But you know,
cool
you've got to
way.
look like that lady, don't you?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I could ever, you know.
She's got a slight smirk as well. Look at her face. See?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I would completely wear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I
But you'd actually look quite
and
like
actually
her.
these colourings, these colourings are my sort of colours.
Yeah.
So I would absolutely, in
that
fact,
doesn't
I
need
might
to
well
be a
end up
woman.
making this.
A woman's at all, does it?
No, it really doesn't. There isn't any lace in this. There isn't.
No,
any...
it's just a nice moss. There's less than 20 of these left. But yeah, that is quite, I think because it's that lovely rust tone.
Well, that's the great thing about these colours. They suit everybody.
Yeah, they do,
I think
actually.
they suit every skin tone as well. They're ageless.
Yeah.
But they're also, they feel really kind of trendy. This feels, you know, kind of on trend. I like it very much.
Lot of you are now on the phone lines to buy these. It's busy today, isn't it? But you know, like, you finished Christmas, still got New Year to go. You need a new project, and you know it's not getting any warm anytime soon. We still got January and February to go.
Yeah,
I know
Kat-
it's going to be 14 degrees in a couple of times.
Kat's clinging to that, isn't she?
She's clinging to that.
Kat was clinging to the fact that it's going to be 14 degrees on, is it Thursday?
Yeah.
Yesterday, Wednesday. And I said to her, it's one day.
Yeah.
You know, the rest of January and February.
It's always cold.
It's always cold.
And you will be needing, and remember, these are really soft.
Yeah.
And lovely.
Yeah, and also another thing, I've spent a lot of time making gorgeous knitwear out of wool and then come back the following year and found something's eaten it. With acrylic yarn,
Nothing eats it.
No, it doesn't. So you'll go back the following year, a little freshen up in the wash because this is machine washable.
Nice.
And there, 30 degrees.
So you will need for the ladies ones 4 mil and 3 1/4 mil. So they are here. That's what you need for those. 4 and 3 1/4. For the men's, you will need 4 and 5. Okay. Oh, that I'm picking up. I'm holding up the 5 there. You need 4 and 3 1/4 for the ladies. If you prefer to use circular needles, not because you're stitching and knitting in the round, but because you struggle with your hands, because obviously the length of a circular needle is a lot shorter than a big needle.
Yeah.
So if you prefer to do that, if you go onto yarnlane.com website, go onto needles and hooks, have a look on there under knitting needles. I'm not sure obviously what today is exactly in stock, but it doesn't matter the length of the cable because you'll only be doing straight knitting. But I know that a lot of you who struggle with their hands and their wrists prefer to knit straight on a circular.
I do it all the time.
Oh, even Stuart.
All of my knitting. I either use DPNs or circulars. And actually, top tip, for the triangular shawl, I'd actually recommend a cable,
because it's just
circular.
I mean, obviously it can't be a 25 centimetre length or 40, it needs to be about an 80, but those are all on the website. So if you go on to www.yarnlane.com, there's the website, needles and hooks, there we go, and then you click on knitting needles. If you scroll through there, the only thing you need is either 3.25 or 4, and then it doesn't matter about the cable length, it needs to be more than 40 centimetres, it won't be long enough, but it does make it easier. So if you click on watch live on the website, everything that's on today's show now is there. That's all there now. But it is actually selling very quick. Oh, one came back. One back. Quick, if you want it, get it in your basket and check out. There we go. But if you do want circulars, go onto the website and they are there. Right, Stuart, what will you be starting off with?
Okay, so I'm going to start off with the triangular shawl that's got the moss stitch, and it's ever so easy to knit. It uses the body of the shawl uses moss stitch. Okay, now if you've never done moss stitch before, it is simply knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one. Now you might be thinking, I've done that before, that's single rib. But what you do is, where on single rib you knit into a knit stitch and purl into a purl stitch, with moss stitch you knit into a purl and you purl into a knit. So you're doing the opposite. So what you end up with is almost, if you imagine a checkerboard of knit, purl, and then the opposite on top of it, which creates, I always think it looks like cross stitch. It looks like little crosses.
Yeah, it's sort of a bit lumpy and lovely.
Yeah, it's got the most wonderful texture. It lends itself so beautifully to country style yarns, tweedy yarns as well, because it's a nubbly texture, a tweedy texture, and a tweedy coloured yarn. So that's super easy to knit, and we're knitting a triangle. Now I've just knitted a small section. You're actually going to start with the widest part of the scarf. So you're going to cast on a lot of stitches to begin with, but then every row after that is going to get less and less and less, and in the end you'll only end up with 3 stitches.
Nice.
But what you're going to do is you're going to do a decrease at the beginning and the end of every single row. So you'll go down 2 stitches every single row. So you'll very quickly get this knitted up.
Oh, right. So, but the good thing is you start with lots of stitches, so it just gets better.
That's right, exactly so, exactly so. Now then, what I'm going to do, and it's a simple 8 row of colour repeat, it's just a simple stripe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do the decreases that you'll need to do. All right, and I'm going to change colour as well. So when we're our first right side row, we're going to start with a slip one. So we're going to slip 1 stitch. Don't normally start a row with a slip one, do we? But we are in this case.
Well, it gives that nice neat edge.
Yeah, I mean, it's a debatable one, that, isn't it? Some people love it.
Yeah.
Some people don't.
Yeah, we have some designers who, when they always do that,
Yep.
because if you get that neater edge, and other people don't.
Yep. And then what I'm going to do, because I'm joining in a new colour, I'm just going to bring my yarn from back to front, my new colour yarn. I'm using the Hawthorn now. And I'm going to purl one. Okay. And then, this is my first kind of decrease. It's a pass slip stitch over. So we slipped the first one, and that's the only reason why we slipped that first one. We're passing it over, so now we've got the brand new colour joined in. Okay, and we've just decreased 1 stitch.
Okay.
And that was a slip one, purl one, pass slip stitched over, PSSO. That's our first kind of decrease. So now we're going to continue in moss stitch. So let me show you that. It is super easy. This is a purl stitch that's on my needle. So I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to knit it. Then my next stitch, this is a knit stitch, I'm going to purl it. So I'm just going to keep working across the row like that, knitting into the purl stitches and purling into the knit. And that's how you work moss stitch. Now I'm going to keep going until I get to the last 3 stitches.
Oh, we've got a question from Glenn. Hi both, what size circular needle do you need for the triangular scarf? Well, I would say, well, it needs to be 4 mil.
Yeah.
Is it 4 mil throughout? It's the hat that's...
For the triangular scarf,
yeah, does it change to...
I would recommend a 100 centimetre cable.
Yeah, but does it change at all from a 4 mil? Or is it the 3.25 that's for the hat?
For your triangular shawl,
yes.
You're going to cast on with 4 mil needles and you're going to use 4 mil needles throughout.
Right, so I would say 4 mil and 80 centimetres, 100 centimetres.
Yeah, I've got 100 cable, 100 centimetre cable, and I would use that. So now I'm down to my last 3 stitches on that first row. So now I'm going to show you the second kind of decrease. Okay, so first of all, what we need to do is we're going to knit one. And then we've got 2 stitches left and we're onto a purl, and our instructions tell us purl 2 together TBL, okay, which means through the back loops. So let me show you how we're going to do that. Now I'm going to go backwards 1 step and say, if we were going to knit 2 stitches together here, which we do, we would start with the furthest away stitch, wouldn't we? We'd knit the 2 together like that.
Yeah.
And when we purl 2 together through the back loops, we do exactly the same. So rather than purling 2 together, rather than purling 2 together like that through the front loops, we've got to go through the back. So here's what you do. Turn your left-hand needle around, okay, like that. And now the last stitch is nearer to you, okay? Put your needle through those back loops, okay, like that. Then twist your needle back round to the front and then purl those 2 together. Okay? Did that make sense?
Yeah, that did, yeah.
So you're not purling from the front, you're purling from the back.
You get a nice neat edge.
You get a really neat edge, okay? So that's our second decrease, purling through the back loops. Okay, when we go to our next row, and there's only a 2-row repeat on this whole thing, okay, we're going to start by slipping 1, okay, and then bring the yarn back round ready to knit, knit 1, and then pass the slip stitch over. So we did that at the other end. And then we're going to continue with our moss stitch. See, I like short needles because I can hold them more easily. Yeah. Although under studio lights, it all feels a little bit more difficult, doesn't it?
But then if you're a pit knitter,
okay,
then they hold their needles under their arms.
Yes.
And so that's no use.
No, true enough.
But the Welsh have the shortest needles, strangely.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know why.
So we get down to our last two stitches and we're going to knit 2 together. So this is our third type of decrease. We've done a slip 1, knit 1 or purl 1, pass slip stitch over. We've done a purl 2 together through the back loops, and this is a knit 2 together. So this is exactly the same as the purling through the back loops, but done at the front, because we're going to go in through the front loops and knit the 2 together. And that also creates a lovely neat edge. And essentially what that creates is a mirror image. We've got the same kind of decrease on either end.
And that's worth doing, isn't it?
It is. You could just purl the 2 together through the front loops, but then it will look different at either side.
Could you show us the purl 2 together again?
Yes, absolutely.
Just because...
yeah. And what I'll do is I'll do that sort of several times along the row.
Yeah, just because it's one of those things that everyone will have to keep rewinding.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
if you do it several times.
So I'm kind of going off the pattern now,
but just
so
to
that you
show
can
us,
see.
'cause it's
So yarn forward, ready to purl, and then instead of purling the two together through the front, we're going to turn the needle. Okay. It's easier if let me just. It kind of looks awkward when you try and show. So I'm on the wrong side now. So it's these 2 stitches here, these last 2 stitches on the needle, and I'm going to go behind. So I'm the furthest away stitch, and then the next one to it. So I've pushed the needle through both, and then I'm turning it back to the front.
It twists
It's kind of.
it round, doesn't it?
And then purl those 2 together and off the needle. So if I do the same again, I'll just knit 1, and then it's yarn forward, ready to purl, and then turn your work again, and you're going through the back loops. I'm trying to keep my fingers out the way, but it's no good. Actually really difficult to show this, isn't it?
Well, it's because it's not on the end, isn't it?
No.
If it was on the end, it would probably bend.
Yeah.
Right, there are only 3 of these
then
kits
purl.
left for the shawl and hat set.
So again, yarn forward,
Turn it
turn your
round.
work, go through both back loops. There we go. Twist it round to the front and then purl.
Lovely. That's great, because otherwise, you know what it's like when you're watching something, you have to keep rewinding
Yeah,
it. But now we can just keep
absolutely.
watching.
And there are videos on YouTube
Yeah,
as well.
but that's fine. You
and
described it really well. Obviously, it's harder for you to do in the middle of a row. When you're only doing yours at the end, it'd be
just
easier.
at the end,
But
that's right.
Lovely.
And it just keeps everything looking symmetrical.
Can we do the cable?
Yes.
The lovely blue men's cable.
Yes. So the scarf in this set, this is the one I'm making for Charlie, is a broken rib. Okay, so no cabling required on this, all right?
Ooh.
It's a 24...
I like that.
It's lovely, isn't it?
It's really nice.
That's what I mean. It's really quite plain and simple
Yeah, but it
for a man
looks-
to wear,
yeah.
but it's fun to knit.
And that's important
Yeah.
because, you know, when it says carry on stocking stitch for
Well,
32
I know,
inches, and you
I
think,
know.
oh no.
And what's lovely as well is you've got a stocking stitch and reverse stocking stitch, sort of rib edge. So it stays really flat and doesn't start curling. So don't get carried away when you're knitting your broken rib and forget about the edges. It does really come naturally after a very short while. And then you're just doing kind of normal rib like you might do on the bottom of a sweater, 3x3 rib, but then halfway along it changes and the
Yeah,
stocking
it's
stitch and the
lovely though,
reverse
isn't
stocking
it?
stitch
It's quite
change
bubbly.
places. But it's exactly the same on both sides, so it's reversible, which is always lovely with a scarf. The hat is a little contrasting, so you've still got ribs, you've got a ribbed cuff, and the body of the hat mostly is ribbed. But you've got this section
cheeky
here
cable.
with a little cheeky cable.
I like a cheeky cable.
Lovely, isn't it? Super easy to do.
Oh,
Now,
nice.
if you've never done cabling before, think of it like this. Think of rope, okay? Like 2 lengths of rope that are twisted together or plaited together. Some goes over, some go under and through. That's what we're doing with cabling. We're knitting, if you like, cords or ropes that then sometimes twist over and under each other. There's nothing complicated about it. It is really simple. So what I've done here is I've just cast on and started knitting that cable section. So we've
Right.
got a little simple, let me show you here on the hat. We've got a little simple twisted rope here, which is 4 stitches. We've got a centre sort of stag's antler cable here. which is a wider part, and then we've got another little twist here. And in between those, we've got some reverse stocking stitch, which separates out those cables just like it does on a normal rib. Okay, so in any cable pattern, the first thing that you're going to do is set up the cable. And your instructions will tell you to knit or purl a certain number of stitches, and you're not doing anything fancy here. So let me just start. So in the first couple of rows, I'm just setting up the cable. So here are the 4 stitches of the little twist that I'm just knitting. See, nothing fancy there, just 4 knits, and then a couple of purls. Okay, and then I'm on to the centre wide stag's head cable. So I'm just knitting straight across these. And this is how you start any cable. You're just laying down those ropes. And so even though the whole pattern for this cable is over 8 rows, you only actually do something special on 2 of them. So then this is my reverse stocking stitch that goes in between, and then 4 stitches for the little twisted rope, and then a couple more reverse stocking stitch. And then at that point in the pattern, you'd carry on with that 2x2 rib that makes the majority of the hat. Now I'm just going to knit the back of this. Now your opposite rows, your wrong side rows, for these cables couldn't be simpler, because they are simply purling into purl stitches and knitting into knit stitches. They are spelled out in the pattern, okay, but if you reasonable level of experience, and you can, well, any level of experience, and you can recognise a purl stitch or a knit stitch, that's all you need to know.
That's quite nice though, isn't it? Because you then don't have to follow the pattern so much, because you can see.
Some cables, some of the more complicated cables where the ropes are travelling across a bed of reverse stocking stitch, the back is different every single row, and they're harder to work. This is why this is a beginner level cable, because there's nothing fancy on the back, see, no pattern required, knit and purl. Now, let me show you how you, whoops, dropped a stitch. Let me just show you how you work cable and how you do cable. Now for this you'll need either a cable needle, or I just use a spare end. I've got a set of interchangeable pins, so I'll just use one of those. You could use a DPN. You want something that's got a point at either end.
We have got cable needles on the website.
Oh,
well, hopefully
brilliant.
if there's some left in stock, then they are on the website.
So your background of reverse stocking stitch, you're going to do just as normal. And then the first instruction tells us to cable 4 forward, C4F. That's the instruction. And it is explained on the pattern, so you don't have to worry about remembering
Oh
this.
yes, yeah, I can see that. Oh yeah, it tells you.
So we've got 4 stitches in this twist, and I've got a cable 4 forward. Now that doesn't mean 4 stitches go forward, it's half of them. So I'm going to slip the first 2 stitches onto my cable needle, and I'm going to hold this, it tells me forward, so I'm going to hold these at the front of my work, and I'm going to ignore that needle. I'm then going to knit the next 2 stitches of that little twist. They're done. And now I mentioned a point at either end, and that's because I'm going to slide the stitches to the other end, and I'm going to knit them. So effectively now what I've done is my little ropes I've twisted. I've put one to the front and one to the back, and that's now twisted. I've still got 4 stitches on my needle, but they've just kind of hopped over each other. That's cabling. That's cable 4 forward. Now, that terribly complicated looking stag's head, right? Would you believe you do something on row 3 and then you do nothing for the rest of it?
Oh wow!
It is a
nice.
1 row.
It's a row masterpiece.
1 row repeat. It's quite amazing. So my instruction tells me to cable 6 back. Now we already know that when it says cable 6 back, we're not going to put 6 stitches on the needle, we're going to use half of them. So 1, 2, 3 on my cable needle, and my instructions say back, so they're going to be held at the back of the work this time. Now I'm going to knit my 3 stitches from my normal needles, knit 3 stitches, and then slide the stitches to the other end and knit those. So that's cable 6 back. Next set of instructions say cable 6 forward. We should be getting the hang of this by now. First 3 stitches onto the cable needle, they're going forward. And what's brilliant about this cable pattern is it goes back, front, back, front.
Oh, so it's very,
Couldn't
so
be
it really
easier.
is good for the, if you've not tried
Yep.
cable before, this is a good introduction.
Yep. 1, 2, 3, and then slide the stitches to the other end and knit those 3. Okay. So that's that masterpiece down the middle finished. The rest of the rows are knit on that side, purl on that side, nothing else. Okay, the last little bit I've got to do is purl 2. That's my reverse stocking stitch bit that just helps to give the cables room to breathe.
Okay.
And then I did forward, back, forward. So this one's going to be back. I mean, it's in the pattern.
It's all, yes,
Thanks.
it's all there, but it's lovely to have the pattern. You've got all the pattern, you've got the abbreviations, what they mean, but then they've got you demonstrating it.
Yep.
It just, it's always like so you can double check.
Yep, absolutely. So knit those 2 and then purl the last 2. Now that's my row 3. And you can see what I've done here is, all this was just plain knitting, but splitting those stitches at this point, back and forward, creates this whole raised bit here. It looks as if I've had to do something all the way along, but I've done
It's
nothing
amazing, isn't
apart
it?
from knit and purl. So that's row 3. Row 4 is just the reverse on the back. Row 5, do nothing, just knit across, yeah, or purl. Do the reverse. Row 7, you do another little twist, same as before, forward, back, nothing in the centre, just knit it,
Oh, so
and then the
yeah,
reverse, and that's your 8 row repeat.
So do you think you could do the whole hat in cable if you wanted to?
Okay, I would say no.
Right.
And the reason why I would say no is because let me just show you on the finished sample, because once you get to the crown, you're going to start to decrease. And you actually
Right.
start to decrease here, and effectively you bring the rib together all around here. If
I
you'd
can
got all
see
these
it.
different cables, it
wouldn't
would
work.
disrupt those. I mean, you
Okay.
can do cable all the way around, but it's a different
But it
pattern.
wouldn't work the same. Oh, I just wondered because I
Yeah.
was thinking, I'm liking that cable. I would like to keep going.
Well, I've just done a scarf, actually. If you have a look on my Instagram, I should have brought it in. That's why I knitted this hat, actually, because I love the pattern. And I've done a scarf, which is cable, stag's head, cable, stag's head, all the
okay.
way across it. A slightly more complicated stag's head and a slightly wider cable.
But it is lovely, isn't
But
it?
yeah, it's lovely.
But
and
then,
it's
you
so
know, the hat
easy.
does look nice with just that one bit on it.
Yeah.
I just wondered.
It is. It's so easy to knit. So if you've never done cable before, but you're a confident beginner, you could totally do that.
Yeah, it's a really nice introduction because you've got, particularly because that complex cable only happens on one row. So it's not complex.
Well, it's not complicated.
But it looks it,
yeah,
doesn't it?
it's
It looks
literally cable 6 forward, cable
Yeah.
6 back. That's it.
lovely.
Mm.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, message before I got to the kits. I am in awe of this demo. My knitting is appalling. You would recoil at what I produce. But every few years, I have another go from Collector in Merseyside. Just keep practicing.
Yeah, we wouldn't
Just keep
recoil-
practicing. We all
recoil at all.
started knowing nothing.
Yeah.
You're not born knitting.
I've forgotten most of that, though.
Yes. Oh, we've got an email from Alison. So Alison says, watching Stuart's convinced me to try round needles. Oh, She says, I've used them
Yeah.
for round patterns, but
I use
better
them all
not
the time.
in straight. But I do because of the weight.
Yeah, that's right. It distributes the weight across the wire, and also I just find I like short needles because I knit a lot of socks. I'm used to knitting with short DP ends, so the way I hold my needles tends. I mean, I'm so khaki-handed with a pair of long straight pins. I'm terrible, really.
I think it's for me. I think because I do a lot of crochet, I'm used to so I like them. But it is the weight of it as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's about
And I
finding
find it easier
what's
to
right.
count as well. I mean, but there's no right or wrong.
No.
If you prefer straight ones, but just remember, circular needles can be used for not circular things.
Yeah, and also as well, you know, how you knit can change over your lifetime. I was a right-handed thrower, you know, my hand left the needle every single time to throw that yarn around until about 5 years ago, where I had to do a really long single rib scarf for a show, and there was no way I could do that and keep changing from knit to purl. So I forced myself to do flicking, and you can change.
Collector Devon says, great demo, thank you. Can you knit the cable hat in the round?
Yeah, you absolutely could. I nearly did. The instructions are to knit it flat, but yeah, you absolutely could.
Just keep going.
Yeah, just remember, in that case, you're always going to be knitting sort of the right side of your hat. So which doesn't mean, if you're used to cabling, you'll be used to kind of doing the cable bit on the right side. So you might have to knock off your rows at the as you go.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's a strange thing. But you don't have knit and purl rows. It's a strange thing, isn't it?
You haven't got a wrong side that
but
you see.
But if you've done a little bit of knitting in the round, or you've done a bit of cable or rib, then you will be able to. That's fine. I think that they have written these patterns very much based on beginners, or maybe not complete beginners. People who have never knitted, but if you've done a bit of knitting and you want to move on to learning a bit of rib or a bit of cable, it's that level. But knitting in the round is maybe another one above.
Yeah,
so if
absolutely.
you've done knitting before, you will find it easy.
Something like the broken rib scarf, this could be your first garment.
Yes.
Yeah, if you know how to cast on, knit and purl, you've no increases or decreases apart from literally two stitches across the bottom maybe.
And it's a great practice piece as well.
It really is. You know, you get loads of experience knitting back and forth, but it's mindful, it's easy. I mean, I knitted the hat actually watching Maleficent the other night.
Did you?
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
So it's nice and mindful.
Yeah, it is. Well, you have to think about it, don't you? And it's good. So, and if you're one of those people who always falls asleep in front of the telly, knit. Because that doesn't happen.
No.
If you knit and crochet in front of the telly, you don't fall asleep. Whereas if you keep missing half the drama because you fall asleep...
Top tip.
Get something
I love it.
I do. If I'm feeling a bit sleepy, I think I'll pick up my knitting.
Yeah.
And then I'll get to the end of it.
Yeah.
Have I got time to just quick run through the kits? Well, we've only got 2 kits. Which 2 have we got left? The blue and the neutral, the one that Stuart was just demonstrating. We've got 8 of these left. Now, remember in this kit, you get the pattern for the rib hat and scarf and the cable hat and scarf, but you get these 4 colours. But if you prefer this pattern, you can knit it in those 4 colours because you've got enough yarn. That's up to you. So that's that one, $19.99. And then the other one that we have left is this one. So I'll turn it over because you can see it better. In this kit, you have got the yarn to knit the beret, but it only uses 1 ball. If you prefer the hat, you can knit the hat instead because the pattern in here is for the hat, the triangular scarf, the berry and the rectangular. So if you don't want the berry, you can knit the other hat. And then you've got 3 balls of yarn for knitting the gorgeous rectangular scarf, which is lovely. It's got some different textures in it. It's got, I think, a bit of rib.
Yeah,
Interesting,
that's
that one.
Actually, that's got the same kind of stocking
it's got the
stitch and
garter
reverse
stitch
stocking
ridge
stitch
and moss.
edge around the yeah, but it's all basic knitting.
It's only knit and purl.
Yeah, this is the set I'm making for Charlie.
That's gorgeous.
You know, I only started a couple of days ago, and I'm getting there already.
That's lovely, isn't it?
And then you just repeat these 2 colours at the other side. Super easy.
Well,
It's
Stuart,
so
thank you so
snazzy.
much for
been a
your debut.
pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Let's hope you're back on Yarn Lane soon. Yarn Lane will be back with us on Wednesday with animal kits.
with John Scott on Animal Kits. Please join us then. It'd be lovely to see you. I will be back tomorrow on Sewing Street, and maybe a week. I can't even remember what date it is. Too close to Christmas from anything. I'll be back tomorrow on Sewing Street. Thank you for joining Stuart and I on Yarn Lane this morning. It has been a pleasure to have him, and no doubt he will be back soon. Please do check out your baskets on those kits. Anyway, I will see you very soon, and thank you, and happy knitting.